I got a kick out of that when Mark said he put sex in his schedule, and they right next to it about 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, and that counts getting to the room. You know what I'm talking about? I went in the men's room a while ago, so I was doing my thing in there, and I think the best sign in the entire place is that sign that you got in the men's room over there about you don't have to wear a mask here because we just had a Bible study last week about, the fact that, most people, and I really believe that Dr. Phil is one of my, him and Oprah is kind of my feminine side, and I love those two. And he talks about most of us in life wear this social mask, and we got a mask that we wear around our kids and around our spouse and around our business associates and around our past, wherever you are. We really do, and it's talking about being yourself and being transparent because you don't want to, it's like being in a card game. You've got your card. You don't want to show it to everybody else. There is a certain amount of that you do have to kind of, be tough and put that tough face on. And even though maybe on the inside you're soft, you have to be a little tougher on the outside at times, but when I saw that and I saw the thing around here and I saw the camaraderie and I expected nothing less, to be honest with you. It's sort of like, it's different when you're married to Beyonce. You know what's expected. You just don't know if you can deliver. You know what I'm talking about? But, when you come here and I met your great leaders and then I've known your great leaders and you really would expect nothing less, but you're always, I think, pleasantly not surprised when you see such good people. And, when I travel, a lot of times people ask me, why do you keep going? I'm be 65 in a month or two, and I've been doing this for 35 years. I make about 300,000 or 400,000 every month. So I don't need the money any longer. I still take the money. I haven't needed the money for a long time, but I'm a competitor. So there's things I want. There's things I want to change in my family and because I didn't have it when I grew up. And there's things I want to leave my family. And I want to make sure years after years after years I'm gone that, that the people that I want to take care of, my family, the churches and charities I support around my state and around the world, I want to make sure that keeps going in case my wife goes crazy and marries some jerk that won't do the same thing I do, right? Which I don't think that would happen, obviously, because I'll haunt them. Because people, they say, why do you keep going, And this is why I keep going. There's not a single day of my life that I don't absolutely get so excited about what I do. And a lot of people say, well, it's easy to get excited when you're making that kind of money. That's why I make the kind of money I make, because I felt like this from my first year to this year. And people say, what do you get down on that kind of stuff? No, I get mad because champions get mad. They don't get down. So I get mad about things. I get upset about things. I don't like people quitting. I don't like people failing. I don't like people lying and all that kind of stuff. But you know what? That's true in anything in life. Would you agree? I coached for a number of years. And every year you get new kids come in and, I taught in the high school before I was getting ready to go into college coaching. So I taught, juniors and seniors, 17, 18, 19, 27, 20-year-olds. And good public school system in Baton Rouge, but you always have turnover, and it's the same thing in this business, same thing in everything else. So I don't like that, but I keep going because I'll meet somebody here and there'll be somebody here this weekend that maybe the Lord used me in a different way. They say the script says the Lord can use the jaw of an ass to spread his word. And I know because he has used me before. And so maybe some of y'all, your marriages might strengthen up as a result of this weekend. Not saying that, I'm the chosen one, but maybe I'm the one he's chosen to speak something. Your businesses may be different. You may be a better parent. You may decide to get yourself in a little bit better shape physically. There might be some things you might want to start saving a little bit more money and doing a little different things. And I am proud of my kids. Blake's senior vice president. He'll be a national sales director in a few months. He made $41,000 last month, 30-year-old kid. He's already saved $700,000 in cash. And it is pretty cool because he knows he's going to get everything I've got. And in between now, Lauren, she had a cupcake company and my daughter-in-law, Lindsay, had a little Bentley. It's about Mark's height. And so Bentley just hit three. He just hit three, right? And now we're fixed to have the second one, but it's pretty neat, to have my daughter and them had a cupcake company. So once Lindsay got pregnant and had Bentley, then it wasn't much fun for Lauren, my daughter, to be in the cupcake thing every day. It was very, very successful. I paid $250,000 from to open that thing up. You know how many cupcakes you got to sell for? It's a lot of cupcakes you got to sell for $250,000 plus $8,000 or $10,000 a month to run the business. And we think people think they got to put up something here. You're risking something there. Here, there is no risk. There is zero risk. It's not even $99 like Jim said, because that's reimbursed if you do anything. And so anyhow, Lauren, as she got to see him kind of, because Blake made a mistake of talking about all the money he'd get if Dad croaked. And then one of our best friends is Patty Schechter. And I don't know if you know, I took over the Schechter code 12 years ago. Well, Patty and Dennis was my closest friend in Primerica at the time. And Patty has not stepped foot in an office. She literally doesn't have a clue what's going on. Doesn't have a clue. We've had 2 conversations in the 12 years I took over that business. And both of them were like this: how's my business? And I say, good. And she says, okay, that's it. And the rest of the time, her and my wife, Leslie, they travel around the world, go to all these spas and all that kind of stuff. You don't just have a good time. Then I got to figure, now, wait a minute now. Think about this. Dennis has been dead 12 years. Patty doesn't have a clue what's going on, and yet she's been paid $25 million. Actually, when I took it, I'm very proud of this because I get the privilege of running that code. So I get paid a significant amount of money to run it, but her income's higher now than when Dennis was alive. Isn't that an incredible business? And that's one of the things that keeps me going. But it makes me a little nervous too, because they get together and talk, and I'm thinking Leslie might figure this crap out sooner or later, right? And I would have to worry about what I eat, but Leslie doesn't make anything besides reservations. Okay, I mean, she doesn't, because a lot of people do ask me, that's the question they get all the time: what's it like? What's Leslie do? And I said, well, I really don't know. I really don't know. I said, I can tell you what she don't do. She don't do the dishes. She doesn't do the cooking. She doesn't do the washing. She doesn't do the clothes. Some of you ministers sound like my old lady. Yeah. But we get those things done because we have full-time people. That's all they do is take care of that house. She doesn't do anything other than what literally not. She didn't do anything. But I don't do anything either. As far as that, I haven't washed the car since I've been in this company, 35 years. I don't take out the trash. I don't do the grass. I don't do nothing. Some of y'all say themselves like my old man, right? But I got a full-time guy that's all he does. Matter of fact, the guy takes care of all this stuff for me. He's got 2 engineering degrees. And yet there's no way he can make as much money as I pay him, because I pay for the quality of life I want, right? So I worked hard so my wife can have the life she wants, and so I can have the life I want, so we can just spend time together and do what we want to do together. And that's not hard to figure out what we like doing together. At least I like doing together, right? And it's so funny. Women are so funny. I had some woman said the other day, is that all men think about? Yes. See, women need a reason. Men just need a place. I mean, you guys need to understand that, right? It's not that complicated. It's really not. You can match all this personality stuff all you want to, right? But at the end of the day, that's, you know what I'm saying, right? And then the other thing, that people ask all the time, what's it like? I get this all the time. What's it like to make $1 million every 3 to 4 months? I mean, think about it. Here, $1 million every 3 to 4 months is what I make. Good year, bad year, it depends. But it's just off a month. So in decent years, you make $1 million every 3 months. On down years, you make $1 million every 4 months. You have to wait for that, that other month, right? But think about this: $1 million during that time. Think about it. So it's not as easy, because think about when you got to figure out what to do all that money, right? So I just said, well, you need to divide it up easy, so you don't have to think about it, right? So right away, $250,000, that's supposed to go to your Savior, in my personal opinion. 10% that's what you're expected. That's your tithe. But above that, you're giving. So, okay, there goes that, right? So you still got $750,000 of cash left, right? So what do? You gotta pay taxes? No, because we own our own businesses. So you don't even have to pay tax on that. So you have your business expense, but since in this business you really don't have that much business expense, I got 300 offices, and I got basically one secretary and an office manager, compliance officer. He does some of this stuff. So I don't have a lot of expenditures. Blake made $41,000 last month. I think he spends $1,000, $2,000 a month total business expense. That's a heck of a business. Of course, Dad takes care of a lot of the rest of it because he houses with me in my co-op. But then that leaves $500,000. Let's see, you'd have to pay your bills, but since I don't have any bills, then you just got $500,000, And so you invest that stuff. You invest $250,000 because you got to invest, and you got $250,000 left over. And you think, well, what the crap? I got to do something. I got to spend that, buy crap, right? And here's what's bad. As soon as you get that crap figured out, here comes another $1 million right behind it. And so the stress is unbelievable, right? Can you imagine day in, day out worried, what am I going to do this time? Same boring thing, right? Another $1 million divided up 4 ways. And, Jim was talking about the personalities, the temperaments with the star system. One of the things years ago, I read this book, and you ought to get this if you can. There's all kinds of books out on temperaments. Temperaments that's what you are. You're not going to change that. Jim's going to talk about that. You're born the way you are. You can't change that, okay? And it's not a good thing, bad thing. It's just what it is, okay? Your personality, your temperament's what it is. The biggest thing is to learn, in my personal opinion, is there's a book out by Tim LaHaye, a Christian author. His name's Tim LaHaye. His wife writes a lot of books too. But it's entitled "Why We Act or Why We Act the Way We Do." Why do I act why are we acting the way we do? Why do I act the way we do? And so for me, I started reading that and studying about that because I wanted to have a great relationship with my kids. When we started having them, I wanted to have a great relationship with my wife. I've been married 40 years to the same woman. When I started reading that book, see, here's what I think the importance of that material is Jim's teaching you. This is critical in my personal opinion. General Patton said this. He said, if everyone's thinking the same, somebody's not thinking. And if you start developing your leadership philosophy should blend over into your business and into your family life, into your spiritual life, your marriage. You can't exclude one from the other. Does that make sense to everybody? Because I hear a lot of people as I travel, they talk about God, family, business. People, that's BS. That's not a way to run your life. Because what that says is that whatever you're doing, it's like when you start building your business is not supposed to be sequential. Okay, it's supposed to be simultaneous. So your spiritual life and your business life and your marriage life, you can't separate those things and expect to be a well-rounded, happy individual. Does that make sense? I mean, when I come home from traveling like this, okay, it doesn't make any difference how tired I am because I'm human. I get tired. But when I come home, I never come home ever and get out of my car and bring in my luggage. First thing I do when I get in, it don't matter how tired I am or how much I've been traveling. When I walk in that door, it's party time. I do the same thing when I walk in my office. It don't matter how hard I've been working or how much I've been traveling. When I hit that door at my co-op, and you can talk to my son, you can talk to Collis and Yvette Henderson, all those people at our co-op. The moment I walk in there, it's party time, right? But do I always feel that way? No, but it's something I get a choice of. That makes sense? Because my job is not to be like everybody else that goes like a emotional roller coaster where they're up and down and up and down. My job is to come here and bring happiness and positiveness and hope that tomorrow's going to be better than today. And so part of it is I need to know me. Does that make sense? You have to know you. And you can't just say, well, that's just the way I am. Because the answer to that is, how's that working for you? No, seriously. I mean, you want to have a great marriage. You want to have great relationship for your kids. You know what the proudest moment of my life was when Lindsay Whittle, my son's wife, said to me about several months ago, she said, I've been married to your son for 8 years. I've never seen him in a bad mood one time. And I said, well, you know what? I've raised him, and I've known him for 30 years. I've never seen him in a bad mood. I've seen him mad because he's a competitor. He played college sports, all that kind of stuff. He's a vicious competitor. But I've never seen him down because that is a choice. But other people, well, it's just the way I'm in one of those moods. You ever heard anybody say they got out of the wrong side of the bed? See, I couldn't do that growing up because I didn't even have a bed. We were so poor. I really grew up like that. Then when I got married, we didn't have any money. So the bed we had was crammed up against the wall here. So I couldn't get out this way. It was crammed up all the way there. I couldn't get out that way. I couldn't get out the side this way because they had the closet. So I had to get out the end, right? So I couldn't get out of the wrong side of bed. That's a choice to this day that I make, not to get out of the wrong side of the bed, not to get up in a bad mood, not to come home in a bad mood. See, you got to control yourself. Does that make sense? But you also got to learn your personality. You got to learn, why do things make you upset? I'm pulling out, they put me at a beautiful place, Wigwam Resort. And so I'm pulling out today, and Jim talked about the rules. Well, actually, the rules, an A personality like me, the rules are for everybody but me. That's just the way A's think, right? And you're not doing it to be mean to someone. You don't even think about it, right? Like wearing seatbelts, stuff like this. Come on, that ain't going to nothing happen to me. That's what you think. You really do think that way, right? But you got to know that, because it's just like if you're an A personality, the problem is in this business, you got to save money, right? Well, an A personality says, crap, I can get that back. If I blow it all, I get it back. If I let my business go to pot, I can get it back. Now you're a competitor, right? So you want to win, but at the same point in time, you know you can pull it off. You don't prepare maybe as much as you should prepare. Does that make sense? So early on in my career, to show you a little bit why I got so involved in that, even before I knew Jim, this is a little bit different scenario. I was just promoted to a senior. My first year, I made $110,000 in Primerica, primarily part-time. Now, 35 years ago, that was a lot of money, $110,000. I was only making $16,000, $17,000 as a coach after 8.5 years with 3 degrees. And so my second year, I made $252,000. My third year, $369,000. My fourth year, $669,000. Saved my first million, age 33. Started age 29. But I was having a meeting, and one of the gentlemen in my business asked me if I'd come up to his area and do an opportunity meeting. I said, well, absolutely. And I heard somebody behind me say, he's not going to be there. And that bothered me, because I feel like I'm a man of my word. So I'm a high AR personality. My A and R kind of vacillates depending on what. So I'm as much of an R as because I'm like, I love everybody to like me and care about me. But if you don't, then I want to beat your brains in. Okay. Isn't that weird? And think about this. My heritage is I'm a third Blackfoot Indian, I'm a third German, and I'm a third Irish. So if I wasn't a born again believer, I'd probably be a serial killer. You know what I'm talking about? Okay. You gotta understand that's some weird crap in my bloodstream, okay? And I whirled around and I wasn't mad, but I was mad because I feel like I'm a man of my word. I mean, I promise you, ask my kids, everything I tell you I'm gonna do, I do. And by the way, I get back to Lauren a while ago because when she sold the cupcake company, her and Blake had been talking and she understood about this ownership thing if something happens to me, because she also hangs around with Patty Schechter and my wife. And she started thinking, wait a minute now, Dad dies. Blake's going to get this. No, I'm going to get up there and get some of mine, right? So now she's my events coordinator. So every day I see my two kids at my office every day. And then Lindsay comes up over Billy. It's like a big party. Can you imagine every day being there with your kids? If you love them like I love my kids. I just don't understand people not wanting to be with their kids all the time. And they initiate wanting to be with me and Leslie because we get that kind of relationship, So anyhow, I whirled around and I said, why would you say that? I said, I've never said I was going to do anything I didn't do. And here's what they said. He said, well, we know you're aimed to. And it's what the person said. He said, but you're supposed to be at my office doing not meaning that same night. At that moment, I said, that'll never happen to me again. So I went out, talked to one of my pastors, and I said, you got to help me with time management. Does that make sense? Because A, personalities, traditionally, you don't manage time well, right? Well, you got to get good at managing time. I'll cover that tomorrow. You have to get not good. You have to get great at managing your time. And the bigger you get, the better you better be. And let me help you out. You'll never get big if you don't master this. You will never get big. I mean, visualize, like I said, I got 300 offices, 30 different states. I've got 7,000 agents that I get the opportunity to work with. And so if you don't learn to manage your time when you're small, you're not going to get big. Now, a lot of people say, well, once I get big, I'll learn. No, that's not going to happen. And so he got me on this with this day plan. And I swear to God, I used to meet with this guy every week, and I would have rather taken a hot poker and shoved it straight up my rear end than to have to meet with this guy. Because first of all, he was a high ST-type personality, so we had nothing in common. I mean, I'd just take a pair of pliers, pull my fingernails out, because it was like a nightmare, okay? But then I started realizing, and let me give you something I think can really help you, okay? So this is how I came up with the day planner. I'm going to show you the psychology of goal setting and how to write for the plan. This could skyrocket your business. I promise you, everybody in the company is really, really big, usually use this thing, okay? And plus, it's great for your marriage. It's great for scheduling the 5-minute sex programs, okay, all that kind of stuff, right? So anyhow, we got this thing together, and I started realizing that I had to make sure I spent as much time as I could. But it also, the moment I read that book, Why We Act the Way We Do by Tim LaHaye, I started realizing I want to be a great father. Didn't have kids at the time, but I started thinking when Jim told you this, now I want you to understand, there's some things he said, I got to kind of massage you a little bit, right? Because you got to realize that things that bother you about somebody else, it's really because you're screwed up. See, we think they're screwed up. No, you're the one screwed up. Think about this. Help me out. Opposites attract, okay? So when you marry somebody, or you get somebody that wants to be involved with you, then usually it's because what their strengths are your weaknesses. And so you're attracted to that because remember the movie of Jerry Maguire, when they're on the elevator, and when Jerry and his girlfriend, they get on the elevator, and this deaf couple gets on it. Remember that right there? And they start doing sign language, and she knew sign language. And he said, after they got on, he said, that was really pretty. And she said, and she knew sign language. He said, well, what she had said was to him, you complete me. Now, see, that's what a marriage is supposed to do. So when you're weak, like I'm once again high, so I want to take over the world. And then I'll tell my wife, and then I said, we're going to have a convention. We're going to have like all these thousands of people there. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And then I'm pretty much rocking. I'm gone. And then what does she do? She got to do all the details and all that kind of stuff. And then she wants to talk to me about details. And I don't want to talk about no details. I want to have some fun. I want to go to the health club. I want to go play golf. I want to win. I want to count my money. I want to compete. And no, I don't even want to count my money. That's too detailed, right? I'm being serious, right? I'm being dead serious. And all of a sudden, she wants me to sit down, and she wants me to listen to all that kind of stuff. Well, I don't want to listen to all that kind of crap. But then when it's time to go to bed, I want her to listen to what I want to do. Some of y'all got it? But then she goes, wait a minute now, big boy. You didn't want to listen a while ago? See, women are like dogs in a good way, in a good way. Think about this. There's no saying you can bury a rock, you can bury a can, You can bury a stick, but you can't bury a bone. You know why? Because a woman's going to find that, a dog will find that bone, and a woman's like that. See, men, we're just so stupid. It's ridiculous, right? But when you do something wrong, right, or you come home from Primerica and you're bitching and whining and griping, complaining like some little sissy punk, no, seriously. And then all of a sudden you're going to tell them, how you're going to be an RBP. Now, you've just been whining like a little girl, and now all of a sudden you're going to tell them how much you want to win. Then the other day you come home, I'm going to be an RBP. The next day you come home, I don't know if I'm good enough. See, that's what punks do. You can't get your support of your spouse by being some wacko. People don't follow flakes or phonies. And so here's what a woman does. You come home, you're all fired up, and then come home the next day and you're whining, griping, and you're mad at your upline, and you're mad because the company did this. You got a charge back, and you tell everybody. First of all, why would you do that? You want a little pity party? That's weak, but you do that anyhow. My wife's never, ever, ever, ever heard me come home one time say nothing negative about anything. Obviously not about anybody, but never anything negative about. So you say, well, that's your best recruit. She should know everything. That's the reason she don't know everything, because she's my best recruit. About 3 months after Blake got started, he came in and one night. He had this look on his face. I knew what he's going to say. He said, Dad, he said, you never told me it was that hard. And I said, if I would have, would you still got involved? And he said, yeah. I said, well, then why? I said, what difference does it make? I told you or not. I said, are you finding out it's pretty hard? He said, yeah. I said, are you finding out then how big of a stud Dad really is? Because why would I share all the negatives with him? And I prepared him for a lot of stuff, but if you see what I'm saying? Okay, so what happens is she goes out in the backyard. She got her bones. It's all the little negative whining you've been doing. And she's got a little, so you think you got moles in your backyard. No. You got a wife that's hiding the bones. So she goes out there and buries these little bones. That's your little whining, sniffly, little pansy-like type complaint you got. So you're fixing to make your little move, at nighttime. And she says, just a minute. And she goes out in the backyard. You see out there digging, you think, man, it's going to get kinky tonight, right? And all of a sudden she comes in and she got a bone and she starts reminding you of all that stuff you said. See, they're not going to forget all that kind of stuff. So you know what the best thing to do? Shut up and grow up, quit whining, quit sniffling, because nobody wants to hear that bull crap. So here's the deal. You're different. Opposites what? Attract. Opposites attract. So here's what happens. In a marriage, you ever heard after 5 or 7 years, people start getting major arguments? You ever seen about it? Most of your divorces happen after about 5 to 7 years. That's what marriage counseling teaches you, right? And so in marriage counseling, one of the things they teach you is these are the 2 questions. If you can't answer this, the deal's over. Number 1 is, do you want this to work out? Do you both of y'all want this to work out? Not one of the 2, but do both of y'all want it? Now, you ought to write this crap down, because this is the same way it should be when you're feeding with your people. Oh, yeah. And the second question is, are both of you willing to change? Because if you don't want it to work out, it's not going to work out. And if both of you are willing to change, then it's not going to work out either, right? It's the same thing in Primerica. Exact same thing in Primerica. So when you're married, here's what happens. Why'd you marry each other? Because what? Opposite attract. You completed the other for y'all and their strengths. Your weakness is their weakness, your strengths. And so you look at it from that sense. That makes sense? And so you got a good thing going, right? But over time, you start grading on each other. You know what I'm talking about? The little things that didn't bother you before start bothering you. And whichever one of the 2 of you has got the dominant personality, and this is how it works. What you do is you start trying to change that other person. Subtly at first, like a little pick. And then it turns into a jackhammer. And you know what? Here's what's sad about that. You succeed. One of the 2 people succeed in changing the other person. Now, you're no longer different. And here's what happens. Why opposite attract? You saw in some of that other person you didn't have. Now you're looking where? At yourself, and you don't like what you see, and there goes the marriage. It's the same thing with your children. So if you want to care about your kid, you better learn, because if you got 2 or 3 kids, if you got more than one, if you try to treat them all the same, you're going to screw up the other 2. It's the same thing when you're working at people in this business. It's my responsibility. I shared this with Jim years ago, that if I'm a chameleon and I jump on the tree, it's not the responsibility of the tree to change colors like me. It's the responsibility of the chameleon to change the color of the tree. Am I right or wrong? Okay, we got to learn this, right? So you can't say, well, these people are stupid. And so if you recruit somebody, if you recruit somebody like this guy was in the military and they brought him up to Baton Rouge, this guy was sharp as could be. One of my managers brought him up from New Orleans to Baton Rouge and put him in front of the computer for the hour or 2 that we were in manager's training. Now, this kid would have gone crazy if he'd been sent through one of my managers, because I'm talking about taking over and all that kind of stuff. He put him in front of the computer. This kid was jacked up his mind, coming to Baton Rouge from New Orleans. He quit on the way home. Why? Because what was the picture he saw of Primerica? What do you think he thought he was going to have to be doing? Sitting in front of a computer, that kind of stuff. Guys, I've never turned a computer on in my life. I'm being honest with you, okay? I don't use GPS system. I don't know how to do none of that kind of stuff, right? I'm the kind of person you probably want in your business. Would you like to override somebody like me? There's a guy who lives out here by the name of Rick Cash. Nobody in the company even knows him except the guy who overrides me. That's how they know it. He makes $600,000 to $1 million a year overriding me. That's it. Just me, basically, except some of my replacements, okay? Because you used to have to build 41 managers, give all that stuff up, do it 2 months in a row, 60,000 premium, give all that up and start from scratch. And we all made it. You had done the same thing, by the way, okay? But the point is what? They ran that guy off. Why? Because he's a high A personality, stuck him in front of the computer versus sticking him in a meeting where he'd been jacked up. Does that make sense? Now, just the same, though, you got to be smart about this. You put a high ST type personality in a rah-rah meeting, they're out of here. I'm just telling you. They're out of here, right? You say, well, hell, we don't need them anyhow. You need everybody. My business looks like the UN. It really does. And whatever people like, that's what I tend to give them. Does that make sense? And if, you know what? If you don't want to come to a meeting, I think it's going to be detrimental to your career. But I'm going to encourage you, motivate you. I'm going to make it so it's so much fun. You're going to enjoy it. I'm going to make sure you get something out of it. That's why it's important to teach and also motivate, all that kind of stuff. But you know what? There ain't nothing in my hierarchy mandatory. Nothing, except compliance. And there's zero gray area in my hierarchy for that. Okay, I've got the most compliant hierarchy, they tell me, in the entire company's history. Because I don't tolerate that, because I want to win. Does that make sense? And you can't win if you do things wrong. Okay? Nor do I want to win doing things wrong. But you need to learn this, because you got to figure out, why do you get so upset when your kids do something? See, you got to learn that. It's you. You're the one that screwed up. Why do you get so upset when your spouse does something? Like, once again, my wife, I get up in the morning, I'm like one to, flip the TV on and see what's going on in the news and all that kind of stuff, and get in the shower and have a good time and all that, get that? Okay. And we had a big old shower too. Okay, it's pretty neat. And when she wakes up, it's like all night long, it's like the faucet was turned off in the morning. It's like, can I just get a few steps in? But she's been thinking about all these things, that kind of stuff. I'm like, but you know what I learned? That's her personality. So you know what I do? I stop, I listen, and I give her my full attention. Why? Because I love my wife. I don't want to change my wife. I married her because of who she was. I didn't marry my wife to change her. This is a true story. So you never play this game when you're with your spouse, to where you're traveling, they bring out the notepad and say, let's talk about what bothers me about you and you about me. And so I'll say, okay, go ahead. And she'll list all these things I need to do and all that kind of stuff. She'll say, okay, now your turn. I said, nothing, baby. She says, you always do this. I said, I'm going to do it. I'm not. You don't do anything that bothers me. Why am I going to change you? If there's something that bothers you, it's because I'm messed up. Nothing that you're going to do. I love you the way you are. Now, guys, that's how I've been married 40 years. All you got to say is, yes, ma'am, and I'm sorry. I'm telling you, you'll get lucky a lot, okay? And I learned, okay, like my son, okay? I really believe this, raising kids. If it's not a deal breaker, it's just amazing to me. I got people just can't get over stuff. If it's not a deal breaker, let it go. You ever see people that's like, they got to pick the scab. They got to pick the scab. They got to pick the scab. And then they wonder why life's like a drama. Life's not that complicated. And they're always running people off and running people off and running people off. You need to learn this. It's unbelievable, but it's not about other people, because everybody gets excited about it and they want to talk about, oh, this person like that. No, it's you. It's not my brother, it's not my sister, but it's me, oh Lord, instead that need a prayer. It's you. It's about you. And you ought to read this book called Releasing Your Break by Jim Newman. He was good friends with him. He knew Newman. It's one of the most powerful books, and most of your great motivational speakers were influenced by Jim Newman, who wrote that book, Releasing Your Breaks. It's how to take your life to the next level and to the next level and to the next level, so you don't keep self-sabotaging yourself, because that's what most people do. You ever lost a lot of weight and all of a sudden put it back on? Anybody ever done that? You ever made a lot of money, lost? You ever saved money and got through? You ever got a great relationship going with your spouse, your kids, and all of a sudden somehow you blow it, say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing, and you just can't believe you're that stupid to do that? You know what that is? That's putting your brake on. You had it going just like life, and all of a sudden, boom, you put the brake on. You did that. You sabotaged. Don't you think you ought to figure that one out? So what is this all going to do? It's not designed to figure out why everybody else puts their brakes on. It's designed for you to figure out why you put your brakes on, why you sabotage relationships, your spouse, your kids, your businesses. So why you running people off, okay? Why aren't you moving to the next level? See, life is not like a soap opera. It's not that complicated. It's about moving to the next level, the next level, the next level so easily. It's like effortless. Because people ask all the time, boy, that big baby, but you never seem stressed. I said, I'm not stressed. How can you be stressed? I'm a born-again believer. I've got a phenomenal wife. I got great kids. I'm 60, almost 65. My vital signs were when I played college and pro ball. So I'm rich. So what kind of stress could I have? I learned that in playing sports. The only pressure is pressure you put on yourself, and I'm in control of that. You're in control of it. So if you're stressed out, you know why? Because you want to be stressed out. Larry Wingett's book, you're broke because you want to be. You're overweight because you want to be. You don't have a great relationship with your kids because you don't want to have. You're not successful in Primerica. If not, wouldn't you figure out a way to quit sabotaging yourself? Yeah. Let me get you into the day planner because I want to make sure we do a good job of this before we shut it down, okay? The day planner, for me, this is as much about the mastery. I think, let me go through this thing right here because I want to make sure I take you through the day planner real fast. So be honest with me now. How many of y'all really would like to take your businesses to another level? I don't know what level, but I know I want to take my level. My goal is to make $10 million a year. I'll get there before I basically, not retire, before I stop actually going full speed. But I'm going to take you through a little bit about this. Let me show you the most important thing, right? See, when you're looking at your lives, your business, anything else like that, everybody in this room has something what's called current reality. So put that in your note and make a circle around it. Current reality. What is that? Okay, that's the kind of car you're driving. Okay, that's your current reality. Whatever you're driving out there, that's real. Your amount of money in your checking account, however much you weigh currently, your weight, your spouse, whatever it is, your wardrobe, that's your current reality. The house you live in, that's your current reality. Has everybody got me on that? And that's the reality, by the way, you want. You say, oh, no, I don't want that. Yes, you do. I'm going to prove that to you. So up here, this is called your future reality. Now, there's a gap between this. That makes sense? Okay, write this down. Jim knows this too. I mean, it's in the books. This is called cognizant disconnect. Now, this is what goal setting does, okay? Goal setting is nothing more than lying to yourself until you convince yourself it's no longer a lie. In other words, you're brainwashing yourself. So what you have now is reality. Am I right or wrong? So what I'm telling you is when we talk tomorrow about goal setting, I'm not going to be able to cover all this tomorrow, but I'm going to show you the psychology of goal setting and why it's important that you understand this or you're not going to do this. See, because you all know this. All goals, okay, two things. Number one, they demand change. It's not optional. You can't debate that. You're going to have to change. The longer you fight it, the longer you'll stay where you are. So goals demand change. When you do this, then what happens is this is your current reality is also what's called your comfort zone. You've heard that a million times. What does that mean? That means you're comfortable where you are. Dr. Phil talks about you're getting a sick, perverted payoff, staying the way you are. You say, well, I don't want to be overweight. Sure you do. That's how you get attention. That's the way it is. I don't want to be broke. Sure you do. That's how you get attention or whatever. It's a payoff. It's how you identify yourself. That's why people say, well, that's the way I am. Well, that's fine if that's the way you want to stay. But if you want to lose weight, if you want to make money, have your business grow, how many of y'all would agree there's at least something you could do to get a little bit better? Anybody? Okay, so if you don't accept that, we can't help you. But everybody accepts that, and we know that can be done. Everybody with me on that? How fast you want it done is up to you. So what you got to realize is we've got to take a step of moving you out of this comfort zone into a new comfort zone, which is your new what? Current reality, which right now would be a future reality. Even though it's not this one, you're getting closer. Everybody got me on that? And as long as you can keep making progress, you're going to get to the point you want to get to, but you're not going to take it's not going to just happen like a quantum leap. But once you get there, you think, how did it happen so fast? Because I go from being making $16,000 a year to having $1 million cash saved in 4 years. How did that happen? I just did it like this. But then I got kind of stuck. Who stuck me? Who did that? I did that. I put my brake on. I didn't have a problem getting rich because I grew up very poor. My dad drove a forklift. My mom, I worked in I'm in a paper mill, paper factory. So I didn't have, but they never talked down about people that have money. We didn't want to talk to envy anybody. I was taught hard work, would get you equal to everybody. I was taught not to, and once again, nobody's better than you, but you're not better than anybody. Okay. So I was taught those things, right? So, but I knew that I could get rich, and I did. I saved at least $1 million, but I couldn't break that. Somehow I had a mental barrier. I couldn't break through the $1 million. Now, don't feel sorry for me, because I was hovering between 900 and $1 million. So that's a good place to hover, unless you want to go make $1 million. And then it's just as miserable at any place. Does that make sense? See, all the things you're worried about, and it goes across your mind, goes across my mind too. It's just a different level. I couldn't get through it, but then all of a sudden, once I broke through it, took Jim Master, because I understood all this kind of crap. Then I busted right through this thing, and I started making $1 million, then $2 million, I went to $3 million, all that kind of stuff, right? And it was just easy, right? So this is the first thing you got to realize. We're doing this. Now, here's the point. When you start setting goals, that's the whole purpose of this book. So if you would, open it up. You'll see it up there on the screen. See in the very first thing, what's the very first thing on the daily planner? Okay, your goals and affirmations. So let's start there, right? When you set a goal is nothing more than a lie, currently. And guess who knows that, okay? Draw this out if you would. There's two sides of your brain. One's a conscious side, and the other's a subconscious side. It's not like some people have a conscious, everybody has a conscious, subconscious mind. Everybody does, right? So your conscious mind, here's the only thing. There's 5 things you know if you're conscious, and what are those? Your senses. So what are they? Sight, smell, taste, touch, and hearing. That's it. So you know you're conscious if you have any of those 5 things going on. If you're dead, are those things going on? No. If you're in a coma, do those things go on? No. Okay, it doesn't go on, right? But when you're conscious, you're awake, those things come into play. Everybody got me on that? This is critical, you know this. Everybody ever heard of a schizophrenic? You might be sitting next to one. They're always pulling their clothes, they're looking around, that kind of stuff. You know why? They have no filter system. Everything gets through. Everything gets through, right? So they're schizophrenic, like this. Everybody got me on that? Okay, your subconscious mind, here's what gets through. Only 2 things get through your subconscious mind. Something that has value to it and something that has threat to it. That's it. Those are 2 things get through. You have a filter system, and it's called your RAS, your reticular activating system. And what it does, it filters things through. Schizophrenic really doesn't, their reticular activating system doesn't filter it. So what gets through? Everything. So they're wacko. So now watch this. Your subconscious mind is nothing more than everything that you've programmed up until this time. Okay, it's very important you write this down, because some of y'all been programmed with a lie. You've been told all your life, you ain't supposed to be successful, you're the wrong color, you're the wrong sex, people come from this side of town, our parents didn't have anything, you'll never have anything, you're not smart enough, you're this, that. You've been told that all your life, and guess what? You believe that's the truth. And in reality, is it the truth? In reality, is the truth? Yeah, it is the truth in your current reality. You're going to have to change that. So just like you're going to have to change your car, the way you see yourself driving that car, because I know I've got a real nice home, I got a real nice car, this is at homes, this is I got money. Okay, I got a lot of money, all kind of stuff. But before I didn't, but I've grown into that. Now, if I had to go get in a beat up car, live in a small home, or have bad clothes on, that's not who I am. Does that make sense? I have basically reinvented myself. I have a new what? Reality. So the 2 things, don't forget now, but the other thing is there's another reality. That's who you are. It's who you think you are. That's why we're going to work on our affirmations. So we're going to work on what? Goals and affirmations. That's the whole thing about planning. You're planning your entire life and your future for the better. Is everybody with me on that now? Because it's very important you get this. So we're going to do both of these things same time tonight. And so your subconscious mind, what's in there? Everything your values, your beliefs, everything you've learned up in this point in time, everything you've been told. Eleanor Roosevelt said this: you're not who you think you are. You're not who other people think you are. You have become who you think other people think you are. The reason my son and my daughter are the way they are, because I've spoke that belief in their life all of their life. You could tell my daughter and my son they're trash or this, that, they would never believe you, because I've got them brainwashed to think they're God's children. They're supposed to be successful. They're supposed to be this. It's been taught all their life. There's no way they can be changed to the negatives, because I got a loud voice in their head. They have been programmed. Your kids have been programmed. You have been programmed. You might have been programmed good, might have been. I was very fortunate. Even though my dad had a 5th grade education, my mom had an 8th grade education, they were very uneducated people, but they taught me the right values in life. Hard work, all that kind of stuff, values, treat people right. Okay, I was learning. Then I had great coaches. They put great things in my life. So I was basically what? Brainwashed in a good way. Does that make sense? So I had a lot of advantages stepping into Primerica, tremendous amount of advantage. So when I started teaching this stuff, I was already there. So my system, I went faster through the system. I'm going to show you how to speed that up. You take his courses, you apply this day planner, I promise you, your career is going to skyrocket. I give you my word they will. Okay, now watch this, okay? What gets through here? Only two things get through your subconscious. What are they? Value, okay? And it's just designed to substantiate anything you already believe and know. That's actually what you believe. Even though it's not true, you already believe it, right? So can we change the way you believe? No, you can't. Never. You need to understand that, like a habit. Can you change a bad habit? No, you got to replace it with another habit. Anybody ever heard of a psychiatrist? I didn't mean you've ever been to one, but a psychiatrist can pull up anything from your past. Why? Still there. Can you ever get it out of there? No, it will never, ever. Listen to this. Any smell that you've ever smelled, one time, it's in your subconscious. It's there forever. Isn't that incredible about the human brain? Anything you've seen, anybody ever had a weird dream and you see somebody think, well, why would that person, you have seen that person somewhere. Yeah, if I do this across his audience, every face I make contact, guess where it's permanently stored? Forever. Isn't that incredible how our brain is? Everything you hear, everything you see, everything you taste, everything you touch, anything like that, it will always be in your mind forever. And it can be pulled up if it has value or threat. So let me give you an example. Jim uses the same thing, right? It's called the blue car theory. How many blue cars did y'all pass on the way here tonight? You have a clue. So I say I'm going to give you Mark's going to give you $1,000 for every blue car you pass on the way home. What would you start looking for? They were already there. Why didn't you look for them? Because they had no value. Several years ago in Connecticut, I got a lot of officers around there. There was a white van that had snipers remember that? They had snipers in the back of a white van shooting people up in Connecticut. So if you heard that, knew that, what would you be looking for? White vans, because it has threat. The only two things to get through is what? Threat or value. Now, what you got to ask yourself is, what motivates you? Some people are more motivated by loss, and some are motivated by gain. I'm not the kind of guy that you're gonna motivate by burning my butt. That doesn't motivate me. I'm not the kind of leader that motivates. I never try to burn anybody's butt. I think that's a loser way to do things. I never do that. I didn't do it when I coached. I don't do it with my kids, and I sure as crap don't do it in my business. I think you get a lot done more with honey than you do vinegar. I think you praise people, love people, encourage people, believe in people, even no matter if they don't even seem like it. You just do it and you do it and do it until it becomes habitual. It's the same when the Bible says you forgive somebody 70 times 7. Doesn't mean on this 491st time you say, okay, that's it, I've quit forgiving you. What that means is if you forgive somebody 70 times 7, by that time you should create a habit of what? Forgiving them no matter what. That's the same thing with believing in people. Vince Lombardi said the number one characteristic of a great coach is as a coach you can breathe belief into people over and over and over. Same thing with your children. There's nothing more powerful you do to your kids than believe in them. Breathe that belief into them. Same thing with your people in this business. But if you don't really believe in people, see, you'll try to manipulate them. It's your desire to have more or your desire to eliminate what's happening to you negatively. Now we start writing our goals. So the first thing up here, we got to write our goals. What kind of goals are those? Future reality. This is going to become a reality. It's going to become a what? Reality. You already got your current reality based on your past thoughts, based on what you're looking for. Everything out there you need to win's out there. Everything's out there. We just proved that blue car, white car, it's out there. You just ain't been seeing it. Why? Because up until this point, it hasn't become important. It hasn't been important. Okay? It hasn't been important. The threat hasn't been important, the value. It hasn't been important. Now, you're not going to like what I'm going to tell you, but this is the block room, right, Mark? But you're talking about how much you love your parents, how much you love your kids, how much you love your churches, and you ain't doing nothing about it. You're sabotaging. Intentions sound good, but intentions mean nothing in life. Action supersedes everything. So you got to get yourself to take action. Once again, you got to release that brake, and so you can get this thing moving. Got me on that? There's a reason you're where you are, and we got to get to that thing, right? So you write your goals down. Why is that? Here's what happens when you write down your goals. I'm not talking about iPads, that bull crap. That's fine. You ought to do that. When you physically write something down, it's neurologically telling your brain, your hands, your muscles telling your brain, you are serious this time. Guys, this is critical. When you put it in writing, you're putting it down. It is telling your brain, the sensors are saying,
They're serious. The first time is going to be that way? No. Because a lot of y'all said this. You ever pulled up to a place and somebody cut you off and you wanted to run into them? Is that ever across? I'm only wacko. But you didn't do it. So you thought of a lot of things. You said, I'd like to do this. I'd like to have that. A new car passed by. I'd like this. But it hadn't been an obsession. It's really not that important. If not, you'd get to stop getting that piece of crap you're driving or going. You see what I'm saying? Everybody got me on that? Okay. So you got to figure out, what do you want? Okay, so write that down. What do you want? What do you really want? I'm going to go through all the details tomorrow how to do this. I'm going to do it with your new people too. But what do you really want? So that's your goals. You don't want to add in there, well, I want a great marriage, and I want this. No, I want to lose 50 pounds. No, this is strictly your business goals that you write in this planner. Strictly your business goals. Psychiatrists tell you, professional goal setters tell you this, your mind can only maximize 5 things at any given time. 5 things. So you don't want to put 50,000 things, because you got to have a focus. Okay, write down the word focus and write down the word energy. You have all of the energy of the world based on your focus. When you lose focus, you lose energy. Everybody has the energy, but you get it up when you have focus. So you got to know exactly what you want. Like the why wall, that doesn't mean a dadgum thing, unless it's a reason behind that. People put pictures of their family up there. You know how much bull crap that was? You know how long that crap lasts? It's like peeing in the bed. It's warm at first, then it turns cold. They tell me. I ain't done it in a while. That's how most people are. They go to a convention. They take their little pictures, put in a why wall, that kind of stuff. And most of those people did that hadn't done a dadgum thing since they got back. You know why? It wasn't that important to them. It really wasn't important to them. It sounded good. It looked good. It was stage talk. It was fluff. That's why I don't ever get worried about that many people get on stage and run their mouth, because I know they're not going to come home and do anything about it. See, intentions mean what? Nothing. Action supersedes everything. We got to take action. So if these goals don't move you to action, they don't mean anything. So when you write down a certain amount of money, why do you want that money? When you say something about a house or a car, and listen, it don't even matter if it's frivolous. It doesn't even matter. You say, well, I don't want to say it. Say it. Why do you want to drive a nice car? I don't know why. I know for me, it makes me feel like I'm special. I'm somebody. I like it. I don't like getting a piece of crap that may not start. I feel bad about myself. It lowers my self-esteem. You say, well, that's shallow. So what? Most of the things we think about in life are shallow. So don't get all set up. See, because the reason you don't do this, you're worried about what everybody else will think. Well, if you're really worried about what everybody else thinks, why don't you become successful? And then watch how many people think good things about you. Isn't it amazing how we worry about the losers of the world? Well, what would they think? First of all, who is they? That is silly. So what do you want? Okay, so who is brave enough to tell me what your Primerica goals would be? Give me one. Okay, see, that means nothing. Okay, I'm helping you. That means nothing. Your brain he said, complete freedom. That your brain can't handle that. Understand, when you set a goal, it has to be specific. Your brain, complete freedom. What's complete freedom? See, you got to work me now. Some of y'all, you're not listening. You can't write down ambiguous goals. Listen, those have no power to stir your hearts. Remember that. It has to be specific, okay? So what is complete freedom? What would it take? Well, that's bullcrap. See, here's why. Okay, I'm helping him out. Do you make $100,000 a month? No. You know what his conscious mind is saying right now when he said that? That's bullcrap. Why? Because it's so far apart. Like I played golf today, gorgeous course, so fired up, and I really played good too. I was fired up about that, shocked me. But listen to this. But I also learned some of this stuff from Jim about saying it's just like me. So when I play golf, I'm pretty good now. I really am pretty good. But I learned little things like that, and I taught this to my son when he was playing ball. And Blake was an all-state. He was leading scorer in the Division I sky ball, all that kind of stuff, But I taught him all this kind of stuff, right? Written down goals, self-talk, all that kind of stuff we're going to talk about. So $1 million a month, you realize how far that is away from where he is? Because here's the point. Who in Primerica is making $1 million a month? Nobody. I'm about as close, me and the 3 or 4 others. That's it. Nobody else. We're halfway there. So right now, for him to say that sounds good. But you know what his mind's saying? That's bullcrap. So here's playing golf. Okay, watch this. So in golf, listen, I'll show you how simple this is, because once we get this, then the day planners say, oh, now I get it. Now I get it. And it's like, boom, it's going to go so fast, unbelievable. But in golf, there's a par 3, there's a par 4, and there's a par 5. Now, par 3 means when you get up on the tee box, the length between there and the hole that you're supposed to hit the ball in, it should take you how many times to be able to put in the hole? Okay, and if you put in 3, that's very good. That's called par. That's good. If you hit it in 2, it's unbelievable. But if you hit it in 4, what does it say? You weren't that good. You took more than it should have taken, right? So on the average, how many hits should it take you to hit a par 3? 3. So it's going to be a certain length, usually about 200 yards shorter, maybe 210, 215, but that's it. Now, what if you got up on the tee box? That's what he just did. He got up on a tee box of a par 3 and it said 500 yards. What do you automatically know? That ain't happening. No way now. So what are you going to do? You shut down. That's what he just did. He will shut down. You're not going to make that attempt. Why? Because you know what? It ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen. See a par 3, well, maybe that can happen. Maybe I'll even get a 2. Maybe I'll 204, but I'm right around there. Does that make sense? That can happen. Now, same way with a par 5. What if it said 1,000 yards? It ain't happening. Everybody got me on that? And your mind knows this. It's got to be stretchily realistic. Your goals have to be stretchily realistic. Write this down too, in a specific time frame. So I'm not saying you could never make $1 million a month, but your mind is not going to let you go through that. It's not going to happen. You will quit first. You'll get frustrated and quit. Now watch this. Let's say I got to where I was getting ready to make the putt. The hole in golf is about, see this here? It's about that big. Then the ball's about this big. So the ball can easily fit in there. Everybody got me on that? But what if I got there ready to putt and the hole was the exact same size as the ball? What would my mind say? It ain't happening. See what I'm saying? And I'd get frustrated and I would quit trying. That's what y'all doing. You quit trying. You could have done it if you'd have moved a little bit closer. If you're going something realistic, stretchingly realistic, right? Now watch this. What if I got there and the hole was this big? For me, I'd be jacked, right? But it would, after a while, I'd think, this is no contest. It ain't that big of a deal. It's not even a challenge. So it's got to be a challenge, but it's got to be somewhat realistic. That's why when you take Jim's course, he teaches mastery and challenge. This is what drives people. It's got to be a challenge, and then you got to master. It's like climbing a ladder. What do? You reach up. That's what? You're reaching up. That's a what? Challenge. And then when you pull up, that's a mastery. And you put your foot on the next rung, that's a challenge. And you pull up, that's a mastery. And you go all the way up, same way you go up a mountain. But you'd be stupid to say you got one shot from the bottom mountain to the top. You would say, help me out. That ain't happening. And you won't even what? Try. Now you're getting it. This is how the conscious and subconscious mind work together. So now we say we write our goals down, and let's say we want to let's make it more realistic, okay? So have you been over 300,000 yet? Over 300,000. Okay, so I think that's pretty good. Okay, let's just go 300,000. I don't know what you make right now, but most of y'all, if you haven't made over 100,000 on Primerica, that would be the first thing I'd shoot for. I mean, it is stupid. My people, hey, I'm gonna join the company and beat you. I said, you might want to start a little lower than that one. That crap ain't happening, okay? So if you haven't ever made 100,000, then make 100,000. And so when I recruit somebody, I'm a very stickler on this stuff, because I'm going to make sure they understand what's real and what's not real, right? So if you're making $3,000 or $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a month at your job, you've probably been there a while. Would you agree? So if I can help you make the same amount of money per month with me part-time a year from now, that's a hell of a deal. Would you agree? See, that's how I set goals for people. Let's make it realistic. You're not going to get that kind of pay raise your job. So let's say most of y'all, let's say, $100,000, get your ring, maybe go to RVP. All right. So that might be 2. RVP, $100,000 a year. Get your ring, RVP, because you go to RVP and not make 100,000. Or you can go to RVP 12 months from now and make 100,000. So we're projecting 12 months out. Why? Because we want to give your mind some time to stretch. Everybody got me on that? So when you write these down, this in your monthly goals. This is what you want to accomplish 12 months. You don't want to throw it out further than that. You need to write this down. We're not going to hit our goals 9 times out of 10 on that time frame. If it is, it's too small of a goal. I've never missed a goal that I've ever set, but I've never hit one on time, because it should stretch you. So let's say those 2 things, right? So let's say a certain size base shop. Why? Because a base shop equates to income, and it equates to you're getting promoted. Everybody with me on that? Okay. So let's say maybe a 30 by 30 base shop, $100,000 in income, RVP 12 months from now for those of you who aren't there. So that's what, 4? Okay. And then whatever your fifth one want to be, I don't know what it might be. It might be, that whatever the trip is that time, whatever it is, but you need to make sure that you got 4 to 5 goals. Everybody got me on that? Strictly bid. Don't mix and mingle. Your mind don't want to handle that kind of crap. Now, is what you've written down then, is your goals, okay, is that real or not real? Is it real or not real? No, it's not real. It's a lie. Currently. But we're talking future, right? Now, we got a problem. We just wrote that down subconsciously or consciously. We wrote it down, right? How do you know you wrote it down? Oh, you can what? You can see it. You saw that you wrote it down. So every day you look at that, every day you look at that, every day you look at that, every day you write it down, your mind is starting to think what? You are serious about this. And what we're doing is we're going to put more in this subconscious right there, because all of a sudden now, let's think about this. We're talking about $100,000 income, which is about $8,250 a month. And all of a sudden you get your paycheck in and you're making $2,000 or $3,000 a month. Here's what happens. This is wrong. Now, it's not going to happen day one. But if you write this down over and over and over and over and over and over and over, here's what's crazy about your subconscious mind. It doesn't know the difference in truth or a lie. It has no morals to it whatsoever. Your subconscious mind is whatever you have programmed it to do, that's it. It has no capability of changing on its own. You have to give it more information. Guys, some of you ain't writing this down, which means you ain't going to do it. You're not going to do it because you're not going to remember all this crap. So when you write it down, what are you really trying to do? You're convincing who? Yourself. You're just piling more in there. You can't change what's in there. That's very important. You can't change what's in there. So what do we got to do? We got to put so much crap in there that when you look in there, you stop seeing what used to be in there and you start seeing what's in there now. So every day when you put something in there, you're just piling stuff on top of the old stuff and old stuff until now the new stuff is bigger than what? The old stuff. And what do you start believing now? The what? New stuff. And this is what's cool. Okay, this is once again called cognitive disconnect. We're intentionally causing, write this down. The only purpose of your subconscious mind is to create harmony. That's it. Keep peace in the family of your brain. That's it. It has no other real bearing. Keep harmony. Because if there's no harmony, once again, you're schizophrenic. You're wacko. So you act the way you do. Why? Because that keeps peace. That's how you see yourself. So now all of a sudden you're going to start acting differently, talking differently. So how are we going to do that? We've written our goals down. Now all of a sudden our income comes in. We're making $4,000 or $5,000 a month. You say, well, crap. In the past, you'd say, well, that's me. That's me. That's who I am. That's who I am. That's me. That's the kind of car I'm going to drive, kind of home I'll live in. That's it. That's me. All of a sudden now, you're writing this stuff down every day, every day, and every day, and every day, and every day. Income comes in, and you say, what? This is not me. And here's what Jim's going to teach you. There's an error here. This ain't me. Correct for that error and get back the way you're supposed to be, which means you're going to start making what? More money, because you'll start taking more action like that. It is going to blow your mind how this works. You know what's funny about this? You'll never read any autobiographies, no book on anybody great, whether it's a sports figure, religious figure, business figure, or a spiritual figure that doesn't say, and everyone has at least one chapter in every book that has written down, talks about goals. And all the losers and half-butts of the world, guess what they don't ever think works? Goals. But all the successful people, every one of them that's really successful says what? I had clearly defined, written down goals. Isn't that interesting? So you're going to write those down in the daytime. Why? Now watch what happens. Look at your day plan up there, okay? I'm going to get to the affirmations, but well, let me get that now because we might have time to do this. So here's what you're going to do. And it says goals and what? Okay. Then what's it say right over to the far left? Oh, AM what? Time. This means what time you did what? Wrote them down. Okay. Now I caught Jimmy Myers doing this. Lying. He didn't think he was lying, so I said, Jimmy, because I got him on this a number of years ago. And he said, well, I said, let me see your day planner. And he wrote down, I said, you're telling me that you got up every day and did this. I said, you're a liar. And he said, well, if I didn't do it, I would make it in there and I'd write 2 down the next day. I said, then you did what? You did what? You lied. Now, what are you telling your subconscious mind and your conscious mind? That you are a liar. You can't lie about this. So if you get up in the morning and for whatever reason you don't do this, at the end of the day, you know what's right in there? D-N-D. Did not do. Because to be an integrity-based person, it means you got character. Character is what successful people have. Character. They do what they say they're going to do. So when you write it down, part of being an integrity-based person is what? When you said you write it down, you actually wrote it down. So if you didn't write it down, what do you write? D&D. Now, you ready for this? You ain't going to like this. So when you don't write your goals down, first of all, how long would it take, if you don't mind, for those 5 things I said, how long would that probably take you in the morning to write that down? Seriously. 10 minutes? You must be slow. Did you play football? It's only 5 things.
Oh, the right book 5.
Yeah. 2 or 3 minutes max. Would you agree? And then, but now here's the deal. Now, when you write them down, you don't want to just scribble them, right? Because it's what you do. What's it telling your subconscious and your conscious mind? What? It ain't important. You take time and you emotionalize those things, right? So you know that because the more vivid they are, the more burning they become, the more you're telling yourself you're really serious. Now, here's what's funny when people tell me this. Well, I just didn't have time. Are you kidding me? You didn't have 5 to 10 minutes to design your entire future? You got to be kidding me. You didn't have 5 to 10 minutes to design your entire future. How asinine is that? How childish is that? Here's a better word. How stupid is that? After this meeting, because until this meeting, it was ignorance. There's nothing worse than being stupid. Would you agree? No, I'm serious. Well, maybe if you're broke and stupid, that'd be worse. Or if you're sick, broke, and stupid. One thing worse, if you're ugly, sick, broke, and stupid, okay? So, guys, 5 minutes, right? And then right behind that, okay, every day, until it becomes a habit. But you don't do it out of habit. You do it intentionally. And you're excited about what? Because you're visualizing how unbelievable it's going to be. That's why he'll teach you this with the vision boards, how you're going to feel when you look at that hand. And that's why you might want to, I saw your ring, Mark. That thing, it's sad. It's sad. It's really embarrassing. You need to get you a nice one, okay? The one's got the ruby, and then these got all these diamonds, these $3 or $4 million rings, okay? So see, here's what he's got to do. He's got to get one of these. You might want to put mine on before I leave. Take a picture with his hand. It ain't my ring. I want it to be his ring. I want him to take ownership of this. And every time he looks at his ring, I want him to see that thing and think, this ain't supposed to be mine. This one's supposed to be mine. See, every time you look at your car, say, you get in, somebody must have moved my car. I'm supposed to be driving a Porsche. See what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? You drive up to your house, and you say, what am I doing driving to this house? Because it becomes so vivid in your mind. See, this is what athletes do. This is what people get themselves in shape do. It becomes a positive obsession. Now, you're doing the same thing now negatively. You're all doing this already. Worrying is nothing besides negative goal setting. You're bringing into fruition what you've been thinking about all the time. You can never do conflicting things on a consistent basis more than your dominant thoughts. You got to make these dominant thoughts. And what will happen is, it's amazing. Your mind just brings you right toward it. Remember the blue car? Remember the blue car? Why'd you start looking for blue cars? Wonder why you're going to start looking for people to talk to. Wonder why you're going to start reading certain books. I wonder why you're going to start being nicer to people. Value. And all of a sudden you do something stupid. Say, that ain't like me. You eat something you shouldn't have, you know what, that ain't like me. And you start doing self-talk. You're already talking to yourself. Here's what's sad. 60 to 90,000 thoughts every day come through our brain. Here's what's sad. 90% of those were the repeats of yesterday because we didn't reprogram, and 60% of those are negative. And you wonder why you don't change, you don't keep growing and getting better. Relationships, your body, your spiritual life. Think about the scripture says, pray without ceasing. All that means is, prayer just means a conversation with your maker. You're just having an active conversation. There's a difference between a relationship and religion. A lot of people have religion, but they have no relationship. That's a conversation. That's what goal setting is. That's what self-talk is. So now you do your affirmations. So you do your goals, okay, and then you do your affirmations. All right, now remember this year goal, and I'll show you later on, maybe tomorrow a little bit. I'll even go back over how you're going to break your month down on this down at the bottom. See down at the bottom, because we got to build to it. So we're not going to go from a $0 to a $30,000 base shop or a $100,000 base shop this next month, but we're going to make progress. In other words, we're going to have a course. The reason we're going to have a course, because with a course, we have a destination, we have a course, we have a time, because your mind has to be blocked into a certain amount of time. Okay, don't take this personal, ladies, but you give a woman a year to make a decision, she'll take a year. You give them a month, she'll take a month. You give them a week, she'll take a week. You give them a day, she'll take a day. If you need a decision right now, she'll make a decision right now. Why? Because when you can put things off, we all put things off. Everybody got me on that? So you got to put yourself in a position where you just got to squeeze it in. Does that make sense? So that's why you want to have different destination points. These are little goals, part of your plan. I'll cover that tomorrow. And we just want to be able to check it off. And if we get a little bit off course, then you'll hear me talk tomorrow about course correcting. But how can you course correct if you don't have a course? And why would you have a course if you don't have a destination? Everybody got me on that? So see how these things come into being? All right. And you're going to know you're off course because you're looking at every day the progress you're supposed to be making month in, month out, month in. That's why the 90 days has such a power pack to it. Because for 90 days, you can do most things for 90 days. That's just 30 days. Each 3 months, over 3 times. Let's go real quick to affirmations, and I'll start wrapping up here. An affirmation. You're going to hear me say this today on the ability to change. You're going to get a little head start on this. So how do we change? You ever thought about that? First of all, why do most people not change? You ever know if people just don't change? Isn't that interesting? So goals demand change. Goals demand change. Not everything around you change. You got to change. That's tough. I'm telling you guys, you think, well, this is easy. No, it's not. No, it's not. And Jim does this, and you've seen this a million times, okay? Okay, take your hands and do this. You've seen this a million times. Okay, now do it. So how many of y'all got your left thumb on top? Nod your head. If you got your left thumb on top, nod your head. How many of y'all don't know what your left hand is, okay? All right? Now, if you get your left thumb on top, take it apart, and this time put your right thumb on top. And if you're the other, do it the other way. Go ahead. Look how weird that is. Is that weird? How about this? Anybody ever had something where you had to go a different direction, like you changed houses, changed offices, and you go right on by it and go the other place? Has it ever happened to anybody? You know why? It's become what? Habitual. You're not even thinking. There you go. You're not even what? You're not even aware of it. You're exactly right. And so you keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over. How dumb is that if it's not getting where you want to go? So you're going to have to make some changes, and it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be weird for a while. Then we'll change that, right? And it's going to be that way all the way through. I'm the same way. I've got to change. If I want to go to $5 million a year, I've got to make some changes. I can't get there the way I am. I can't do it. Everybody got me? So the first step of change is awareness. You got to be aware that you're screwed up, or you got to be aware of that. You can't keep denying this crap and act like life's okay when you know it sucks. It's not as good as it could be. You know, I don't know how about y'all, but I want a great marriage. I don't want a good marriage. I want an unbelievable marriage. I don't want a good relationship with my children. I want an unbelievable relationship with my children. I don't want to be in good shape. I want to be in great shape. People say, well, you're in great shape for 65. No, I don't want to hear that crap. I want to be what my doctor told me today. You're in the shape of a 25-year-old. Now we're working. You see what I'm saying? Because hell, anybody can be in shape of a 65. That's an old fart. I don't care about that. I want to know, see what I'm saying? That's a choice. You got to make some changes though, right? Okay, so now we write our affirmation. So the first step was what? Awareness. Second step is, big time, acceptance. You got to accept that's the way you are. You can't live in denial. You can't live in fantasies. It's called reality. You step on a scale, if it says, get off, you know you're overweight, right? If that thing, if you peg it, okay, you can lie all you want to, but you're overweight. You're broke because you want to be. You're fat because you want to be. You're not an RVP because you don't want to be an RVP. We got to come to agreements. We aware, we accept it. Now we can do something. Now we can affirm, which means we want to be, we talk about, so you find somebody, something you want, like an RVP. I'm not an RVP right now. I want to be an RVP, okay? That's what you want to do, right? You want to have a great marriage? You know what you ought to do? Find somebody that's got a great marriage and do what? Emulate them. Everybody got me in that? So you say, how do they act? How they treat their kids? How they treat their spouse? Everybody got me on that? I want to be in shape. You find somebody that's in good shape. You find out what they do, what they eat, how they exercise. And what do? You emulate that. How hard's life? Come on, guys. Life's so simple, it's ridiculous. It's a shame how simple life is. So you look at somebody that you want their life, you want now I'm not talking about envying anybody, but I don't think any of us, hopefully God, we're not that egotistic. We think we got it all together. So I want to find somebody, and I say, okay, I'll copy that person. You start affirming those things. You ought to do this with your children. You affirm them, you accept them the way they are, and you affirm them the way you want them to become. So you make a mistake, you say, that's not me. All of a sudden you do something right, just the way I am. You make a mistake, what do you say? That's not like I am. I'm not like that. I used to do that, but I'm not like that. Next time, I won't do that. And next time you do something good, you say, just like me. What are you doing? You're programming that stuff. You do the same thing with your children. Same thing with your spouse. Guys, you know what I mean. Okay? Now, okay, so you write your affirmation. So let me ask you this. Okay, we got to real fast here. Give me an affirmation, and this is kind of a good time, Bear, so that you would like to be like. Anybody give me one thing? Okay, but you want to be a great recruiter. Okay, so he says, I want to be. Okay, you don't want to state it like that, don't forget. So you say, I am, present tense, because you're talking to yourself, present tense, I am a great recruiter. Okay, anybody else? Yes, sir. Okay, I'm a great leader. Now, first of all, you have to decide, what does it mean to be a leader? See what I'm saying? Because I know some people that are tyrants, but that doesn't mean they're a leader. I know some people talk about they want their people to respect them, not like them. That's an idiot. No, I hear parents say that people, see, nobody respects somebody they don't like. They may fear you, but that's not a way to run a marriage or a family or a business. Okay, does that make sense? So you got to decide what a leader is, because you can have a perverted version of that too, right? And I think that's a little ambiguous. So I don't know. I would say maybe a little bit more, maybe like I'm excited about being the leader of a maybe like this environment, and energized, fun, happy. See, get descriptive. See what I'm saying? Leader, ambiguous. So what else? I mean, to me, I think happiness is a big thing. I like being happy. I like having fun. If I'm not going to have fun, I ain't doing something. Okay. What would be another thing? High integrity, maybe, sir. The word likable. See what I'm saying? Loving, caring, compassionate. Get words, descriptive words. See what I'm saying? But when you start throwing things out like a relationship, see, that's ambiguous. Your mind can't handle that. It doesn't handle that. Everybody got me on that? It doesn't handle that. Yeah, I think that's okay, because you're talking about great things flow to me easily in abundance. But I think that, I don't know what, I mean, it also depends on what words motivate you. And our personality, like me, it's going to be more like loving, caring, compassionate. Energy is my A personality, enthusiastic, happy, fun, competitive. See what I'm saying? So you describe yourself the way you want to be, but you do it in present form. I'm, like you might say something like, I'm excited about being the leader of a happy, positive, motivated, energetic, youthful, didn't say young, youthful organization, just like me. And guess what you now start becoming? That person you just described. Now, if you don't write it down, all of a sudden, let's say you get and you show your butt one day, or you lose your temper, you say something negative. What do you realize? You're writing this down. All of a sudden, you just acted contradictory of what you're writing down every day. And all of a sudden, you catch that and you say, wait a minute, that's not like me. I'm not going to do that next time. That's not like me. And all of a sudden, you say something right. Somebody say, that's just like me. You know what you're doing? You're becoming the person you're affirming. Your schedule all day now, okay, here's where the bear is. You're going to look at your schedule, and that's your activity. In other words, this is proof that you're serious. So if I look at your schedule and there's nothing happening, you're lying. You're really lying. You're not even serious. So I'll go through the activity with you tomorrow, and then look over here. See where it says autopsy? When is that done? At the end of the day, we can look back to your calendar and see what you did or didn't do. And you might have someone, you said something negative, one of your people, Maybe you missed a sale, whatever. Now, what should I see in this self-improvement chart? Yeah, how to get better on that particular thing. So let's say you missed a sale, you didn't get referrals, maybe you were negative, somebody quit, somebody said something bad to you because you were treating them the wrong way. You put that in there, and then we should see in your self-improvement that you're trying to get better. So you might have read a book, you might have called Mark, you might have called somebody else, and you might have listened to a DVD or a CD, and that's proof who you've proven it to. Yourself. Okay? But what if you make a sale? What do you put down there? That's part of your autopsy too. I did this, I did that. See what I'm saying? See down at the bottom? Okay, by the way, you see in there it says things to do? Okay, you always want to make sure that before you go to bed at nighttime, by the way, your schedule should be filled up at least a week in advance. But then down to bottom, always think in ink. So you put down the notes of things you got to do tomorrow, okay? And then we'll talk about the big bag theory and all that kind of stuff tomorrow. And then see down to bottom, see where it says it. What's it say right down there? Goals. This down here, everybody see this where it says daily results? That would be where your team, like let's say you got 4 or 5 legs, 4 or 5 people directly to you, you put their names down there, okay? And each night you're going to find out whether they call you, if they're calling you with what they wrote, if they're running business, got a recruiting thing like that, that will go in that box. And that is critical now because some of you are going to start having a lot of success, and you might have a team like my base shop last night did about $7,000 or $8,000 in premium. Does that sound pretty good? It's horrible because it only came from 2 or 3 people. So it's good for who? Me, because I override the base shop. So $7,000 or $8,000 times 30 would be 200 and some thousand a month in premium. Sounds good, but what about all those other people that didn't do anything last night? Do they need motivating? Yeah. Do they need a call from Big Bill? Yeah. Then you maybe text them or call them this, that area. Yeah. What if I didn't do that? See what I'm saying? You got to know who's not producing, who is producing. You got to know who to love up on. Does that make sense? Guys, this is critical now. All right, now, and that's your monthly goals down there. So you'll see how close you are to them and how far you're away from them. Everybody got me on that? You got to get this down because you're trying to get that disconnect. So let's say at the middle of the month, you're seeing where you are. First week, you're seeing where you are. Second week, third week, everybody got me on that? And you got to be able to know where everybody in your team is. Everybody got me on that? They ought to be doing this same thing. So when you meet with them, like me, everybody knows if you don't have your day plan, you want to meet with Bill, he ain't meeting with you. Now, is that because I'm mean and egotistical? No, I'm trying to teach them how to do what? Use this planner. How can I help you? Always think in ink. If you can show it to me, I can help you like that. But if you don't have anything in writing, how can I help you? And if you can't even take time to do this, why would I want to help you? You're not even coachable. Okay? At the end of the day, what are you going to write down again? Help me out. What are you going to write down again? What's it say? Your goals and then you're going to put the time you did it to make sure you don't lie or cheat. Everybody got me? Now, if you're getting ready to go to sleep and say, Dadgummit, I didn't do it. First of all, I was telling you your goals didn't mean that much to you. Tell you don't really want to change. So you get your butt up, you go back and get your day plan out of your car, you come back in, you set back down, you write your goals down. You don't think that's going to do something to your subconscious mind? You know what your subconscious mind's saying? You are serious. You're going to get this thing. You're going to do this thing. And it's amazing that the self-esteem starts going through the ceiling. Now you go to sleep. What just went to sleep? Your conscious mind. What did not go to sleep? Your subconscious mind. So all night long, guess what your subconscious mind's doing? It's pulling up all those things you need to make this next morning. You wake up, bam, it's been up all night long. You've been sleeping all night long. It doesn't need rest, ever. Never stops. All night long, you've been resting. All night long, your subconscious mind says, okay, let's get to it. We got to help this guy or get it. He's serious this time. He's going to go crazy. We got to help him get this. What do we got to do? What do you got to do? What do you got to do? And all night long, that thing's just grinding and grinding and grinding, pulling up all these things. And all of a sudden, you wake up the next morning, bam, you're ready to go. You write it down again. It's like, okay, we're ready to go. And all of a sudden, you've enlisted the single most powerful, and I think the second most powerful thing, to me, it's your Lord and Savior. But the second most powerful thing you could ever enlisted was your subconscious mind. And you're off to work together the next day. You don't think that's going to make a difference? Some of y'all trying to go along. I wouldn't go along. This is the best thing you possibly do, right? And then tomorrow I'll show you how to use it for a week, and it becomes a month, and all of a sudden 90 days, and it just becomes part of your life. Does that make sense? Thank y'all very much. Appreciate it. See you tomorrow.